Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Whidbey Island. Whether you are joining us in person or on Zoom, whether this is your first time with us or your 500th time, we're delighted you're here on this almost beautiful summer morning. As Unitarian Universalists, we are defined not by a creed, but by our shared values. The 7 principles that guide us are listed on the back of your order of service. My name is Jane Spalding, and it is my privilege to be your worship leader this morning. Our congregation is currently conducting a search for a new minister. In the meantime, we are blessed with many wonderful people from the Salish Sea region and beyond who serve in our pulpit. The topic of today's service is deep healing and the transformation of consciousness. We hope it will offer an opportunity for healing and reflection. Everything we do as a congregation is made possible by the dedication of volunteers, and today's service is no exception. A heartfelt thank you to the community of support that has made today's gathering possible. From our technical magicians, Tom Pocock and April White, who is managing Zoom this morning, to Melissa Hall and Janet Garrow for refreshments, and to all the greeters, ushers, and all the volunteers who contributed to today's service. Thank you. This morning, we are blessed to have Eileen Soskin at our piano. Eileen plans music to support the topic of our service, and for that, we are grateful. She is also a volunteer. You have 2 more weeks to remember to bring a photo of your pet, not your pet, to the service on Sunday, August 2nd. And we do need more people to sign up to bring refreshments. Next week is open and all of April. Got it, August. Thank you. And there was one other thing I was supposed to announce. Maybe I'll remember. We hope to have you home in time to watch the opening of the World Cup this afternoon. This morning, we are blessed to have Michael Lerner with us. I had dinner with a friend last week and said I had a meeting with Michael Lerner this week. And her eyes got big and she said, "The Michael Lerner?" I said, "Well, I think so." Some of Michael's many accomplishments and interests and ventures in life are printed in your order of service. However, when I ask if he has a favorite bio, this is what he sent me. I'm going to read it because the contrast makes me smile, and I think says a lot about him. Michael Lerner has lived part of the year just above the Spy Hop Tavern on 2nd Street in Langley with his wife, Cheryl Patton, for the past 14 years. They live in one of the oldest houses in town, built by early Langley residents. They have lived for over 50 years in Bolinas, California, a small town very like Langley, just north of San Francisco on the coast. Michael co-founded Commonweal in Bolinas 50 years ago. Commonweal, which means the overall well-being of a community or nation, has over 30 projects that focus on health and healing, education and the arts, and the environment and justice. He co-founded Healing Circles Langley with Diana and Kelly Lindsay. Both are Commonweal programs. About a half dozen Commonweal programs have come out of the Langley-Bolinas axis. Michael's core interests include intentional healing, depth psychology, the global meta-crisis in consciousness research. He deeply resonates with Emerson and Unitarian premises. Welcome to the Michael Lerner. As we light our chalice this morning, we kindle the fire of healing and transformation. May its glow illuminate our hearts and minds as we journey toward wholeness and consciousness. Maybe we be guided by love, compassion, and wisdom on our path of deep healing and transformation. Our opening words this morning come from John O'Donohue's book, To Bless This Space Between Us. His words describe managing the in-between times. You know those times when you don't know what to do and don't know what's going to happen next, whether they're caused by political figures, natural disasters, wars, a health crisis, or relationship or financial losses. Navigating these times when no path forward is visible causes great distress. Our brains are hardwired to reject not knowing. Our usual familiar rhythms have fallen away, and the future isn't clear yet. These words that I'm about to read speak deeply and personally to me. I hope they resonate with you. A blessing for the interim time. When near the end of day, life has drained out of light, and it is too soon for the mind of night to have darkened things, no place looks like itself. Loss of outline makes everything look strangely in between, unsure of what has been or what might come. In this wan light, even the trees seem groundless. You are in this time of the interim, where everything seems withheld. The path you took to get here has washed out. The way forward is still concealed from you. You cannot lay claim to anything. In this place of dusk, your eyes are blurred and there is no mirror. You can see nowhere to put your trust. You know you have to make your own way through. As far as you can, hold your confidence. Do not allow confusion to squander this call, which is loosening your roots in false ground, that you might come free from all you have outgrown. What is being transfigured here in your mind makes it difficult and slow to become new. The more faithfully you can endure here, the more refined your heart will become for your arrival in the new dawn. Please stand in body or spirit to read the affirmation, and we'll sing our opening hymn, Spirit of Life. In our country, more and more voices are silenced every day. Many truths remain unspoken because the speaker fears rejection, prosecution, deportation, and even death. Our financial offerings this morning will help sustain this congregation as a place where all voices can be heard, where truth can be spoken without fear, where vulnerability is met with compassion. Let us live in gratitude for this beloved community and with hope for a time when more voices can speak the truth. The ushers will bring the baskets forward, and we'll hear a lovely another piece from Eileen. And now let's welcome Michael with a hymn, number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Greetings. Can we go quiet together for just a moment? Peace, peace. I'm very glad to be here. This is the first time any church has ever asked me to give a sermon. I've done weddings, I've done funerals, but nobody's ever asked me to give a sermon. And I think they were probably wise because I don't think I'm good at giving sermons. But I do know a little bit about telling the truth. And so forgive me for not giving a sermon. And in the place of a sermon, I'll just do my best to tell you the truth as I understand it, which of course I know will be different from the truth as you understand it. So I'm going to start by reading a section of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. How many of you know the Tao Te Ching, just out of curiosity? Great, wonderful. So this translation is by Red Pine, who actually lives in Port Townsend. He's a Westerner. But it's translated by Red Pine with selected commentaries from the past 2,000 years. So it's a very beautiful translation. And this speaks to me. A friend of mine, Dick Grossman, who ran one of our cancer help programs in Connecticut for many years, and he wrote a book called The Tao of Emerson. And his idea was that Emerson was channeling the Tao Te Ching 20 years before it was translated. And so in his book, he has the quotes from Emerson and the quotes from the Tao Te Ching next to each other. So it's very beautiful. And the thing I love about the Tao Te Ching, I sometimes describe myself as a Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, yogic, Sufi with Taoist influences. And so, you know, what I mean by that is that over the past 50 or 60 years, that those traditions have really opened to me. I'm not so interested in the exoteric aspects of them, but the esoteric core of Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, yoga, the Sufi tradition, and increasingly Taoism have all opened to me in some way. So this is part of this opening, and this is kind of the essence of the Tao for me. I really love it. It's number 15 on page 30 of this translation. The great masters of ancient times focused on the indiscernible and penetrated the dark. You would never know them. And because you wouldn't know them, I describe them with reluctance. They were careful as if crossing a river in winter, cautious as if worried about neighbors, reserved like a guest, ephemeral like melting ice, simple like uncarved wood, open like a valley, and murky like a puddle. But those who can be like a puddle become clear when they're still. And those who can be at rest become alive when they're roused. Those who treasure this way don't try to be seen. And not trying to be seen, they can hide and stay hidden. So just reflect on that for a moment and ask yourself whether the great masters among us, the masters that you actually know, are the famous ones or the quiet, hidden ones. Ask yourself whether the people that you meet in your life who have some sense of the true way are the ones who are on the television or have the big books or the podcasts or whatever it is, or whether they're the quiet ones. My experience is that my teachers, for the most part, are the quiet ones, the ones that will never have the ego need to drive themselves to fame, to drive themselves to the top of the pop charts, right? They're simply our neighbors, they're our friends, they're people we know. They're quite rare, but they're there. So, you know, I spent a lot of time, I must have done 10 drafts of trying to figure out what to say. And I fail, so what I do is I get up in front of you with a set of notes and see, you know, Fox famously said that all of us have that of the divine in us, the great Quaker teacher. So when I find myself like this, I just get up here with all these notes and I see what comes out, you know. And I think one of the things that comes out for me, I have friends who follow the path of joy. And, you know, the path of joy is very beautiful. How many of you know Enneagram as a system, just out of curiosity? Just a few. Well, in any case, Enneagram is a system of character analysis. And the sevens among us, the enthusiasts, are the ones who follow the path of joy. And I love my 7 friends because they bring so much light into the world. But I'm an Enneagram 5, which is the observer. It's called the Buddha point. It's the most introverted and distant of all the points, 9 points of character types. And so I'm not so good at the path of joy. I have hints of it, but the path I have followed is the path of being with suffering. That's the path I've followed. For 40 years, I've co-led over 230 week-long retreats for people with cancer. And so I've lived with that, and I've lived with my own suffering and lived with the suffering of the people I love. And for me, the heart of the path of suffering, after all, Christ, who was he? A man of suffering and acquainted with grief, right? And he didn't hang out with the high rollers and, you know, the enlightened. He hung out with the taxpayers and the tax collectors and the publicans and stuff. So there's a quote from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which is really a central reflection for me of what I really believe. And it goes like this: the acceptance of our suffering as our path to spiritual evolution, the study of great wisdom teachings wherever we find them, and complete surrender to the divine force in each of us. These three things are yoga in practice. And I'll say that again. The acceptance of our suffering as our path to spiritual growth. The study of great wisdom teachings wherever we find them, and complete surrender to the divine force within each of us. These three things are yoga, which means union in practice. You know, I remember, actually, I had two close encounters with the edge of life. One was abdominal aortic aneurysm surgery, and the other was triple coronary bypass just about 10 months ago. And I remember a few months after the bypass surgery, when other things in life just seemed beyond my capacity to deal with. And there was a day in which, you know, I did a classic Alcoholics Anonymous thing. I just thought to myself, okay, God, I don't see a way through this. I cannot figure it out. I just have to turn it over to you. And about 24 hours later, this immense grief that I was feeling and this immense exhaustion just turned into a deep, abiding sense of peace that's been with me for the past 10 months, right? I mean, it's so common, you know? You know, Alcoholics Anonymous, which is one of the great human inventions of the 20th century, but it can work for all of us, for any of us who have that sense that somewhere buried in each of us is that light, whatever you want to call it, divine or God, or you can simply, I like the phrase source, you know? The word source is beautiful to me. You know, if we can turn over what we can't carry to source. You know, the great black spiritual, if somehow you could pack up your troubles and give them all to me, you would lose them because I know how to use them, right? Because I know how to use them. The source, the Christ, the Buddha, whatever you call the source within us, it knows how to use our suffering. It knows it so deeply and so well. There's a beautiful quote from the Indian poet Tagore, which I just came across again recently. Many of you may know it. I slept and I dreamt that life was joy. I woke and discovered that life was service. I acted and found that service was joy, right? I slept and thought life was joy. I woke and discovered life is service. I acted and discovered service is joy. And for me, who follows mostly the path of suffering and is not like my Enneagram 7 friends, filled with joy and light, which I love. I love hanging out with them. They're so refreshing. But when I am serving, I feel the joy. That's where I discover in the middle of the suffering, I feel the joy. So to me, I just wrote a little book about over 40 years of work with people with cancer, and the little book is called What Matters Now? 7 Healing Letters to a Friend with Cancer. And, you know, I don't think it's only about cancer. I think that the question that all of us face throughout our lives, but particularly those of us who are in the fall or winter of our lives, the question really is, the fundamental question, and it's at the heart of healing. The question is, what matters now? What matters now in our lives? And that question usually for me comes in 2 forms. One is, what are my greatest struggles? You know, what are 1, 2, or 3, say, of my greatest struggles? And then the second question is, what, if anything, can I affirm? What do I love? What matters most in terms of love? What matters most in terms of loss or suffering? And it's that capacity which goes back to Patanjali. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it can be done. I see it in the Cancer Help Bar week-long retreats all the time. People come with their suffering, and it's actually not very often about their cancer. It's usually about some life issue. It's mostly about relationships. It's about a relationship with a partner or a child or a parent or a friend or whatever it is. But it's in those relationships and the agony when they are not working as we wish. And how to take that question, whatever that struggle is, and discover right in the middle of it, right in the heart of it, how it can become a deeper sense of affirmation, like that experience I had 10 months ago, when, actually 7 months ago, when I, asked God for help, and lo and behold, peace came. So there are many things, deep healing for me, to go to our topic, really is responding to the question, what matters now? It's not just the wonderful lifestyle practices that really do help us heal physically, of, eat well, move more, relax, find love and support, all the lifestyle things, which are great and can physically help us heal. It's not just the psychological explorations that we can do. Those things are the broad paths to healing. But the core of healing, in my experience, William Blake said it beautifully, if you would help another person, you must do so in unique particulars. The deepest healing for each of us is incredibly unique to our situation. It's some very personal struggle, and it's often the struggle that we really can't talk to anybody about, We usually can't talk to our partners about it. We frequently can't talk to other family members or friends, but we're all struggling with something. And if we can discover the way through our suffering to flip that into the next awakening, I think that's the very core of deep healing. So I've just talked a little bit about personal healing, and now I want to talk about the transformation of human consciousness. And here what I want to say, I'm going to reference a professor at Rice University named Jeffrey Kripal, and I've been doing conversations with him on his 14 different books, and they're all up on the Commonweal New School website. But I have become convinced that the mystical traditions, the esoteric mystical traditions at the core of all the great spiritual traditions are actually true. In other words, the mystics told us they were true, but I think the science is coming around to demonstrating that they're true. And the specific I will give you is that the tradition that the soul survives death is true. And if you think that's a strange assertion, look at the work of Ian Stevenson and Jim B. Tucker at the University of Virginia, and Tucker's last book called Children Who Remember Past Lives. They have a database of 3,000 children, mostly from Asia, and these 3,000 kids with impeccable methodology clearly remember past lives. And so when I had known that for a long time, but about 3 years ago, I found the book again and I read it, and I thought, this is actually true. I had thought about it for 40 years in the Cancer Help Program, and I suspected it was true, but it's actually true. So if it's true that the soul survives death, what about the power of prayer? What about the reality of near-death experiences? What about the power of intuition? How can we possibly know something is going to happen in the future How is that possible unless the universe is far more than our socially constructed egos understand? And so that's what I've been working with Kripal, who says the cosmos is one, the human is two. We have a socially constructed ego, and then, which is a horizontal part of ourselves, and then we have this vertical dimension of ourselves that connects us intimately with the cosmos. And Einstein, as you know, said the big question is whether the universe is friendly or not. And if you look at, in cosmology, what's called the anthropic principle, which means that the cosmos perfectly is designed to support life. As far, the only cosmos we can actually see is perfectly designed to support life. What does that mean? It means that the cosmos at some ultimate level is based on a cosmic love. And that cosmic love contains a cosmic consciousness. And we are connected to that cosmic consciousness through this vertical part of ourselves that we only know under extreme conditions of trauma, of near-death experiences. Psychedelics get some people to get a glimpse of it. You know, there are a whole set of different portals into that cosmic consciousness. But even if we don't experience the cosmic consciousness directly, if we wake up, we can see these hints. We can begin to notice the synergistic events in our lives. We can begin to see the broken twigs that are indicating what our trail is. And so we can awaken to the reality that the mystical traditions, their teachings, which we abandoned in this time of materialism, but historically, humans have known that we are living beings in a living cosmos connected to everything. That's what the mystical tradition said. And that's what Unitarianism is all about. That's why you all gather here, you know? And that's what the Quaker tradition is all about. And the beauty of this being a church where the Unitarians and the Quakers both meet, you know? The Unitarians who kept the form of the Christian services but hollowed it out into creating a space for a non-doctrinal vision, and the Quakers who also abandoned the doctrine but created the space of silent attendance to allow the inner voice to speak. It's two methods, one intention. So I bet you that's 20 minutes, and I especially want to get the soccer fans home in time for the World Cup. So thank you for greeting me here. I hope I have not either offended anyone or embarrassed myself. But if I have, there's no need to invite me back. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. What a refreshing, lovely surprise. I'm glad you didn't write anything out. As we extinguish this flame, may its light continue to shine within us. May the warmth of healing and transformation stay with us as we go forth in the world. Let us carry the spirit of love and renewal in our hearts until we meet again. Please join me in singing the words to our final hymn, We'll Build a Land.
give me the benediction to read, which I promptly lost. So I told her I would freelance it. So here goes. Beloved, holy, radiant being, beloved source, whatever we call you, may we know thee in our lives. May we know the place in our hearts where we find you. May we know that we find you in sacred community. May we know that we find you in the people and places and non-human beings, our dogs and cats and all the other life forms that we love. May we know that we find you in nature and the beauty of creation. Holy Radiant One, we ask that you bring peace to this troubled earth. We ask that you help us come through this time of great darkness and become that creative, life-sustaining civilization that is our true destiny. May we not lose our hope for that destiny. May we choose to live in courage and not despair, because courage is the most interesting way to live. Holy One, be with us through this week. Lift us up to you. Lift us up to the true light. Peace, peace.